forgot what I was going to say, but here we are.
It's an awkward thing to do when you're about to start a podcast.
Yeah, usually I have some sort of like catchy intro
Sure.
or whatever. And I was really actually thinking like, hey, nothing says confidence like rebranding your productivity suite when half of the world is asleep. But here we are.
So I don't remember when this came up. I feel like it might have been a meeting that we had at work, but I had observed at some time in the past 2 weeks that like Google needs a name for their productivity service. Like Microsoft has Office and Google has Google Docs and Google Sheets and Google whatever the other things.
Suite.
Well, no, but G Suite is really just their business thing.
Yeah.
That covers that plus the business version of Gmail and blah, 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 whatever. So I'm like, they have a productivity suite. It should have a name. Now, this is just a new name for, G Suite, but
yeah,
it's a good name, actually.
It is a much better name.
Yeah.
It doesn't involve a hyphen, which always makes me happy when writing headlines. So anyways, if you log into G Suite this morning and you see Workplace splashed all over the place.
Yeah, actually, right. Did I even notice such a thing?
Or Workspace, not Workplace.
Oh, see, I don't even see the Gmail logo because I customized it. So
Look at you being fancy.
Yeah, fancy. Yeah, sure. I obviously had 15 minutes to kill on a Wednesday one week and went to town. I don't know.
What?
Like 20 years ago or something, or whatever it was.
Other rebranding includes Microsoft Bing because,
It generated a lot of commentary from people.
Did it really?
Some good ones out there like, oh, they changed the name. Now I'm going to finally use it. Or stuff like, what is this? I don't know.
Yeah, they went through like a lot of iterations, and I don't.
What I like is they have the Microsoft logo on the page, but the site logo, the one that appears in the whatever that's called, Favicon, was that the word?
Yep.
Is like a new version of the old Bing logo. It's like, guys, seriously, like, oh, Microsoft, just the gift that keeps on giving. The gift that keeps on taking.
Yeah, I was gonna say more taking maybe in this relationship than giving. I don't know. But whatever. They they could do whatever they want. They could call it live search, they MSN search, whatever.
I think it was called MSN search.
I think that's originally what it was, wasn't it?
Actually, I'm sorry, you were saying that. Yes, I think those names were both valid. They should just call it Microsoft Search.
Yeah, they should, because that's what they call it in Microsoft 365. It's just Microsoft Search. So
yeah, too logical.
Wait, you bought one of these things?
What things?
The Nest Audios?
Yeah, I bought 2 of them. I know.
So has your wife ever had an intervention with you? Like
I have
stuff just shows up and she's just like, why?
So as you know, I mean, I bought your Sonos stuff.
Yeah,
and
that's why I'm very confused. Paul, are you aware that Nest Audio does not integrate with Sonos?
Yes.
And yet you bought two of them.
Yes.
Explain yourself.
Okay, this is not a good explanation, but the explanation is I always rethink things, right, for one thing. So I wrote about that when I wrote about wearables yesterday, I guess. The other 2 big things that are kind of on my plate this year with this kind of stuff and technology, blah, 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 is audio and smartphone, right? So smartphone won't be resolved until we know what all the new phone, OnePlus AT is coming out soon, iPhone 12 series, whatever. So we'll see what all this stuff looks like. We had bought those Ikea speakers, which are also $100 a piece. Put them in the kitchen. They're kind of tall, like they're big, like they're maybe even bigger than they're tall and thin. They're kind of awkward looking. And I wanted something smaller for the kitchen. Now, of course, but like a 1SL is $180, so $360 for 2 of those. And I should say too, I'm sorry. We moved at first temporarily and now permanently. We moved those Ikea speakers into the living room. We're using them as rear surround speakers in the living room. And by the way, really nice. Like if you're not doing this kind of rear thing, I recommend it. And the Ikeas would be a great choice because they're so cheap and they're perfect. And you play music and it goes through the subwoofer. No, I'm sorry, the sound bar as well as the 2 speakers. Mostly the 2 speakers. It's good. Like it works good. So I guess I could go down to Ikea or order from Ikea like 2 more of those speakers and put them back in the kitchen. Like that would be one thing I could do. But the thing is, like, my wife is the one who typically uses the speakers in the kitchen, and she likes to use the app she uses in Cast to the thing. And that doesn't always work on Sonos. Like with some music apps, you have to use the Sonos app, right? Which is another thing for her to think about. She doesn't care about this stuff. So I was like, you know what? I'll give this thing a shot. I heard they were great. I got them for 15% or 10% off, I think. And I figured if they sound good enough, like who cares? Like it's just for the kitchen. Like I think the fatal flaw in my thinking about whole house audio is that we don't really need whole house audio almost ever, right? Yeah. You're typically listening in one room. Mm-hmm. You know, I have all these stupid phrases I've not invented on purpose, but have come to me and I kind of stick with them. Like one of them is optimized for the everyday, you know, and every day
you should patent that or trademark it because Microsoft's going to steal that or Google or somebody.
Yeah. Well, it's more of just a kind of a general life approach. Like you don't optimize because you might need, right? So, or you occasionally need, like you could apply this to anything. Like travel is like this. Like what do you put an umbrella in your bag because it might rain, you know, but you bring all this extra stuff. And if you don't need it, you've just, you know, it's stupid. Anyway, I think honestly, they sound pretty good. My initial reaction was very disappointing. Like when I first played something over them, I was like, yikes, like this doesn't sound any better than the stupid thing. Oh, Jesus, yet another backtrack. I had temporarily put in the old Google Homes just so there was something in the kitchen, even if it sounded kind of crappy. And it didn't sound much better than those. But I guess it learns over time, and then you also can tweak the audio settings. And I played more music, and I actually left it on last night, just let it play for a while. And they sound they're pretty good. Like they're not Sonos One quality or Ikea quality, I guess, for those Ikea speakers, whatever those are called. Simon Fink or something. Whatever weird pseudo, Swedish name they are. But they're nice, and they're a good size. Like the Ikeas are very tall. They're kind of awkward in the kitchen. Like these are kind of a better. The 1SLs would be the best choice, but it just literally would be an additional. I guess it works out to be like $180.
Yeah, to get the stereo or whatever. Or no, it's just for one, isn't it?
Two. I'm sorry, I got two. So I paid $90 a piece. They're normally $100.
For the IKEA ones.
The IKEAs are $99 as well. Yep. So you could get two of them, but they're kind of awkwardly. They're big rectangles, like and they're deep. You know.
Unlike this conversation.
I have a Chromecast coming today. You can make fun about that tomorrow or whatever. I thought you were using a Roku or it was.
It's gonna be great next month when you have an Apple TV show and be like, look, I'm just trying to figure out
Well, I mean,
God.
No, I mean, as I said in the comments this morning to some, I mean, you know this, Brad. You can justify purchases. You're like, well, I write about this stuff. Like
it's real easy.
It's a crutch, really, right? Like we love this stuff. We want to see, but there is that element of it. And if I'm going to justify my use of a certain product, right? I mean, part of what you have to do is look at the other stuff and, from time to time and make sure that what you're doing is the right thing, because it's one thing, it's like I always tell the story about this wife of a friend of mine who said, oh, I haven't, Windows is terrible, security problems, blah, blah, blah. That's why I switched to the Mac. And I'm like, how long has it been since you used Windows? And she's like, I don't know, 6 or 7 years. I'm like, then your opinion is worthless. Like you have no idea what you're talking about.
It's changed a little bit. I mean, that would put you back into Windows 8 days?
Well, she said this years ago. So it was it could have been, she could have been using Windows 9X for all I know, like at the time. I mean, it was just like, look, I no offense, but your opinion is useless, pointless. It's so out of date. Like you don't have, your opinion doesn't matter. You don't even know what you're talking about. So anyway, I like to just, sometimes it sticks. Do I get this?
We'll talk about that tomorrow because who knows what's going to actually happen today, because we have another part of our series, the SMB series, where you talk to, I think it's Nathan. Is that right?
Yeah, this should be Nathan Hodge. He works for it's a seafood business that's seasonal. So they actually kind of go up and down with the number of people they need on licenses for Microsoft 365 and so forth. I think this was the first person I talked to.
Support has been great. When I've submitted tickets through the Microsoft Admin Center, typically you get a call back within a couple hours from them. And that honestly, that was very surprising to me when we started using Office 365, because in my mind, everything with Microsoft support in the past is always, well, you got to put in a ticket, you got to pay for it, you got to do this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
So having that just included as part of the subscription is great.
So the particular reason why I pulled that one out is very specific. That hey, you don't have to be a great big company to get support from a company, which is something you sometimes often have to pull teeth to get.
Yeah, as part of the G Suite rebranding, I kind of looked over their blog post and I looked at the the informational pages they have about it and everything, and I was like, I wonder if they've kind of responded to the fact that G Suite is actually more expensive than Microsoft 365, and you get less, especially the basic plan. It's $1 less a month. It's $1 more a month, So I was curious to see if they had done anything on that note, and they didn't, And I don't know what Google's custom support thing is like, but I think we can all agree it's.
Well, just go try to find a phone number for them right now, and you'd be.
Yeah, 1-800-Google or whatever.
Yeah, no kidding. The other thing worth talking about, too, this is just real quick, is that Microsoft put out a blog post yesterday on Xbox, really just kind of highlighting their momentum going into effectively the next generation, where they said 10 game studio launches this year. They've got a bunch more coming, the next year and a half or so.
I thought that was interesting because it's basically right at the beginning of October, the holiday season is just kind of kicked off in a sense from a retailer perspective, and they already have had their best year ever, by different metrics, which is neat. I mean, and look, if you're a fan of Xbox or if you just care about video games in general, I assume it's obvious that they've made a big push in the past, not just the past year, but the past couple of years, to acquire studios, bring more games in-house, kind of spread them out across Xbox, different. It's not like this game only works on this one console kind of thing. And I know people still argue against that, but I think Microsoft's approach is the right one. And they have some games that, did you see the figure? I didn't put this in my article, but the number of people who are playing Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
Is I think it's 13 million or so. Or no, it's me.
Decent amount. For a game that kind of got off to a slow start, sort of.
Yeah.
It's really kind of built up a following. So.
Yeah, What's that? That Sony game that kind of fell flat, but still sticking, like No Man's Sky or whatever.
Is that a Sony game?
Right
I can't even remember. I don't think that was.
Whatever.
I know what game you're talking about. Yeah.
Let's create an entire galaxy. You can go around and explore all these completely empty planets. It's kind of like the pirate version of that. You take to the open seas, or whatever. Except I guess they've done. I've never actually played it, but the one thing that Microsoft has done with their in-studio games is. Support those games over a long period of time. You see that with the Gears of War games. You see that with Sea of Thieves. Absolutely. There's always updates. They're always the game came out 2 years ago now. I mean, a long time ago, and they keep supporting it. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah,
it's really nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's effectively the momentum they've got rolling into the next gen, and we'll see if they can carry it, which is a big deal for them because obviously we know how poorly the Xbox One launch went, and they are trying to do everything they can to avoid that. So
sunk by a submarine. Yep. That's what happened.